Hello and welcome. We're excited to be with you this afternoon. My name is Danny Corwin. I'm the Executive Director with Harbor Freight Tools for Schools, and we are dedicated to advancing excellent skilled trades education in public high schools across the United States. And I'm thrilled to be joined this afternoon and evening, depending on where you are, with three incredible Harbor Freight Tools for Schools Prize for Teaching Excellence winners. And we are going to be sharing information about what we call our Better Together student-led community impact projects. This is our second webinar from a series on excellence in skilled trades education. And these three gentlemen have implemented projects in their communities that leverage the incredible knowledge and talents of their students to bring improvements to their schools or their communities, and in some cases, people around the world. So with that, I'd love for these gentlemen to introduce themselves. And we're at all different parts of the country, as you'll hear, including Brian, who's on a bus in Miami, Florida, joining us, and Randy, who's on, I think, his third laptop to make it happen to join us tonight. So we're excited that everyone's been able to make it. Randy, since we can see you, we're going to start with you. Would you share with the group who's with us tonight where you are and why you got into teaching the skilled trades?
Hi, everybody. My name is Randy Williamson. I'm here in Williamsport, Pennsylvania, which is north central PA. I got into teaching skilled trades because being in the industry, I saw the lack of skilled trade workers. And I guess I thought I could make a difference. So that's, there was an opportunity to start teaching at a local career and tech center. And I took that opportunity and ended up back here at my alma mater here in Williamsport area high school. So.
Thanks, Randy. Jay.
I'm Jay Abitz from Freedom High School in Freedom, Wisconsin. We're kind of northeast Wisconsin, kind of central-ish. And I teach at Freedom High School, this little gen ed high school, and I started teaching because my dad was actually the teacher here for 35 years, and he was getting ready to retire, and there was absolutely no one to take his job. So I don't think it's quite nepotism. I learned it a little bit, but there was a big need and really no one there to do it but me. So I jumped in and been doing it for 16 years now, and it's been everything I thought it would be, and maybe then some.
Thanks so much. And Brian.
Yeah, Brian Copes from Chickasaw, Alabama, just outside of Mobile, currently here in Miami. I became a skilled trades teacher. I was one of those kids that absolutely hated school, hated every minute of school. And if it wasn't for the skilled trades, the elective classes, that's the only thing I look forward to when I went to school. And so I wanted to be that person to step in and champion my kids and, just show them the love of working with their hands and their mind.
Beautiful. So thank you, everybody out there who is joining us tonight. Each of these three fantastic teachers are going to share a presentation on their community impact projects. We're thrilled that you were able to join us and hear the stories of these three teachers and their students and their communities. So we're going to go into about a 30-minute video from each of these teachers. We wanted to be efficient and tight, so we decided to record them in advance. So please take it all in. They're amazing stories. And then we will rejoin the group and ask the teachers a couple of questions about what made their project successful and if they have tips for all of you. So thanks again for joining us, and we hope you enjoy these three remarkable stories.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. I'm glad that I got a chance to share with you about our student-led community impact grant. So my name is Jay Abitz, as it was stated. I'm from Freedom High School in Freedom, Wisconsin, just outside of Green Bay. So kind of we call it north central Wisconsin. And we're a town of 6,000, so pretty small. And we have a general ed high school population, about 530 kids in the district. So, or excuse me, in the high school. And we're just a regular old gen ed high school with a cool auto shop and metal shop and wood shop. So I'm here to talk to you today about our student-led community impact grant. We call our little project Freedom Wheels. And so our goal was to use our automotive skill sets of our students to provide a vehicle to a family or a community member in need. You know, there's a lot of people that need a car, maybe are low income or, you know, had some sort of struggle in their life where they, you know, lost the use of a car. And so we started looking for cars. We were car shopping and really just we're looking for a good opportunity to provide to someone in our community. So our team consisted of 4 student leaders, myself, and then we involved our automotive classes as well. So there was about 25 kids in total that worked on the vehicle between our 2 automotive classes just during the day. We received a $5,000 donation from Harbor Freight Tools for Schools. We worked with O'Reilly's as our automotive parts supplier, and they give us a little bit of a discount on parts. And then Sherwin-Williams Automotive Finish is another supporter of ours, and they give us a discount on materials and donate a lot of materials to us as well on the body side. So they're really helpful. We also have a local shop, which is actually a father-son alumni crew, 2 former students of Freedom High School that own a shop, and they help us on a lot of our projects. Specifically when we run into trouble or run out of talent, as we like to say, they help us through some of those bumps and bruises. So they did pitch in on this one a little bit as well with some technical expertise. So the veteran that we ended up assisting with this vehicle came to us through an email from the Calumet County Veteran Affairs Associations. And he basically was driving a 2014 Chevy Cruze that had like 300,000 miles on it, and the engine blew up. And it was, you know, obviously beyond repair with 300,000 miles. It really wasn't a sound investment to repair it. And he didn't have the ability to purchase a different vehicle or a new vehicle. So he was basically stranded and needed a vehicle. So certainly fit our bill. And we were eager to have a veteran that we could help because, you know, we're obviously a community that supports the military and anyone that's serving our country. So it was a great opportunity to give back to someone like that. At the same time, we had a couple of alumni, a class of '98, Nick and Nikki Smith. They own a pharmacy right outside of town here, and they had a company vehicle, which was a 2012 Volkswagen Rutan van. And it had a couple of issues that needed repair, and it was just one of those things where they were done putting money in it. So they actually offered to donate it to our auto program. And it really happened at the same time as we encountered this veteran in need. So we chose that vehicle to be the one that we would donate to this veteran. So it was a 2012 Volkswagen Rutan, 165,000 miles. It wasn't running at the time. It had quite an extensive list of issues. And so we used our grant money from Harbor Freight Tools for Schools to purchase parts. So we ended up putting all new brake components on it, including calipers. 3 out of the 4 ended up being seized up. It got new tires, brand new tires, a TPMS sensor, spark plugs, and some other routine maintenance that, you know, I mean, it had 165,000 miles on it. So we ended up putting spark plugs and belts, a serpentine belt on it, needed oil change. All the other underhood fluid levels we topped off and checked and replaced as needed. It needed a thermostat. We ended up discovering that. So we replaced the thermostat, gave it a partial coolant flush. As again, at 165,000 miles, it was probably due for that type of service. The alternator needed to be replaced. So we replaced that. That was the reason why it wasn't running, is the alternator wasn't functioning. So we replaced that. And then a battery, as it was towards the end of its life. So good time to change that. The power doors, like a lot of, you know, vans, those get neglected, the power sliding doors. So they weren't functioning. The first thing we always do is lubricate them. So we did that, got them operating. And then actually the window and door switches on the driver's front panel were not working. So that ended up being a little bit of an electrical issue. We repaired that so that the power doors, power windows, power locks all worked from both, you know, door panels on the vehicle. Lubricated those tracks, as I said, and then did some minor rust repair. So really got him set up. I think that's a vehicle that's going to last him. You know, he's in his early 70s. It might last him the rest of his life. He, you know, has a limited range of traveling that he does. So I don't think he puts on a ton of miles, And certainly that vehicle should be all set to go, barring any major issues for at least, 250,000 miles. So it could last him a very long time. I also got to go ahead to share with you that we just recently got approved for our next community impact grant. And so we're going to do the same thing. Freedom Wheels continues. In fact, this first one went so well that moving forward, the focus of our student-led community impact grants are going to be intensive on serving veterans. So this first one worked out really well where we were able to help a veteran in need. And it really ended up being a super special experience and something that we want to focus on moving forward. So with our automotive skill set, I believe we can provide vehicles of all different types to all different veterans in need. And in our local community here in Freedom, we like to fly the flag and focus on our patriotism. And so giving the opportunity to give back to our veterans, to help them in any way that we can, has been an awesome experience for me and my students. Our students in this first experience were really, I think, surprised by the effect that it had on our veteran. To really see the smile on his face, to see, this vehicle was like a spaceship to him. He'd never had something so nice. And so the students got a chance to really interact with him and show him, what the backup camera did and how these doors are power operated. And to see them just jump right in there, sit in the front seat with him and have a chance to teach and to really connect with him. That was powerful, man. And I know that that's something that they're going to look back on and be able to smile and be proud of that. I had so many parents reach out to me, send me emails, and say, oh, my kid didn't even tell me they were doing this. This is so cool. Thank you so much for giving them this opportunity. And I didn't give them anything. Harbor Freight Tools for Schools supplied us with the money. We received a vehicle and donation. I just helped facilitate this. And so we've seen the impact that this can have on our students, on our school, on our community, and most importantly, our veterans. So that'll be our focus moving forward. Through this process, I was connected with actually a Freedom High School veteran, so someone that graduated from our school, from our program. His name's Frank. He's a couple years older than me. I actually went to Freedom High School. My dad was the auto shop teacher here for 35 years. So this gentleman, Frank, he's a couple years older than I am. We went to school together. He's a former student of my dad's and was part of this automotive program. Long story short, he's a 100% disabled veteran. He's in need of a vehicle, specifically a motorhome. He has some financial issues. He obviously has some physical issues as well, and has really just found himself in need of this type of vehicle. And so we just got approved for this grant, so we're starting to shop. We're looking for a motorhome that's in the $3,000 to $5,000 range. We're hoping that we can buy something that's a good start mechanically, something that's relatively mechanically sound, that we can do a minimal amount of work mechanically to get it sound and a good traveler for him. He wants to travel. He's got some PTSD, and part of his treatment for that PTSD, he feels way more comfortable on the road. He is basically a nomad right now, sadly really living out the back of his car. So we want to get him set up with this motorhome so that he can travel, which means that it needs to be, seaworthy and trustworthy mechanically. So we're really looking forward to that next project. Our biggest takeaways from this first one is, man, it was just awesome to give back to these veterans. For our students, they did a bunch of relevant live work that was, good and that fits our trade, fits our program, the experiences that we want to provide. But outside of that, a chance to give back to our veterans, to involve these students in something that is their own, something that they're the leaders on, that they take part in. It's just really been an awesome thing to be a part of, to see the kids smile, to see the veterans smile, to see how well received it was by our community and the impact that it had. Projects like this, when we get additional funding, it really makes an impact on the things that we're able to do. So when we get a shot in the arm, donation like this through Harbor Freight Tools for Schools, and then even just the vehicle donation that we got from our alumni and from the other people that support us, that's really what enables us to do something special. We're really looking forward to move on to the next one. And I hope that it's something that we can continue to do, because obviously there's a lot of people in need, and there's a lot of veterans in need specifically. So It's awesome to be a part of this. It's awesome to have Harbor Freight Tools for Schools supporting us in that, because obviously as a gen ed high school, without their support, this probably isn't something that we can do. So we're really looking forward to advancing this program and doing more cool stuff like this. So thank you.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Williamsport, Pennsylvania. My name is Randy Williamson, and I teach construction trades here at the Williamsport Area High School. Williamsport's a smaller urban town with roughly about 30,000 people. We're located here in north central Pennsylvania. A couple fun facts about Williamsport that we are known for. Little League baseball started here in Williamsport, and every year we host the World in August for the Little League World Series. So usually when people hear Williamsport, they think Little League World Series. Another fun fact was in the late 1800s, Williamsport was known as the lumber capital of the world. And per capita, we had more millionaires than any other town, which is why our nickname, Williamsport Millionaires, that's where that came from. We have approximately 1,400 students in our high school, very diverse student population. We have 14 career and technical education programs housed right here in the high school. In addition to our students, we have two sending schools, South Williamsport and Loyalsock, send their students to our program. So I was fortunate enough to win the Harbor Freight Tools for Schools second place prize in 2017. Since then, Harbor Freight has been blessing our program with tools, connections, and ideas ever since, and their mission to bring awareness to the skilled trades program here and across the country. I will forever be thankful and grateful to Harbor Freight for their vision, commitment to our programs and students, and recognizing the work involved to teach these programs. Last year, one of the ideas that Harbor Freight proposed was a student-led community grant. When I read the email, I immediately shared it with our student chapter kids, and they were very interested in it from the onset. The student chapter is a construction club we have here at the high school. We're part of the National Association of Home Builders. We're endorsed by the Pennsylvania Builders Association. And to be endorsed, you have to have the student chapter. So that's why we have the construction club. We do a lot of extracurricular things with their club and such, and this is one of them. So we had three students in particular. Kristen Goodman, she was a junior and president of our chapter. Ethan Young and Warren Robinson were both seniors and members of our student chapter, and they ran with the idea. So what we did was we decided to reach out to our mayor, who was a previous math teacher here at the high school. And he came back with several ideas for our students to think about and choose from to help better our community. From the list that Mayor Slaughter provided our students, they chose the Brandon Park Rehabilitation Project. One of the cool aspects of these community grants is the recognition it brings to the program. We had a lot of coverage from the local news stations, including WNEP. In WNEP's video that they shot, Kristen Goodman and Ethan did a great job of explaining our grant project. And since it was a student-led grant, I will let them share the project with you.
If you've driven through Brandon Park in Williamsport this week, you may have noticed some construction at the baseball field. When you look close, you'll notice it's young people working on the dugouts.
We're doing co-ops this summer, which means we get to go out and work with someone like on the actual job site. So this is a great experience for us to go out and do that on our own. We're getting a little pre-co-op experience.
The students are from the construction and trades class at Williamsport Area High School. The class recently received a $5,000 grant through Harbor Freight's Better Together program. The class is using that money to spruce up the baseball field at Brandon Park.
Redoing the roofs on both of these dugouts. There's a bathhouse back there that needs fixed, and if we can get to it, we're going to be doing this concession stands roof as well.
The students were supervised by their teacher, Randy Williamson, but mostly managed the project on their own.
So it just brings it to life. It's like the curriculum that we're covering in the classroom. You get to come in out here and apply it in a much larger scale.
The students tell Newswatch 16 this is a great way to get hands-on experience outside the classroom.
It's so cool to see all of our stuff brought together and actually use the skills we're putting in class.
Some of the lessons that you don't get in the classroom is the importance of snapping straight lines or running string lines to set your rafters to and stuff. When you're on a 30-foot building, that helps the kids understand that part of it.
The students say this project is something they can be proud of.
So Kristen, Ethan, Warren, and myself, we all met at the park after talking to Mayor Slaughter with Scott Livermore, who is Williamsport's Director of Department of Public Works. After he described the scope of the project, our students went to town taking measurements and pictures. The next day, we got back into the high school, back to the classroom, and they started calculating materials to complete the project. They reached out to our local lumber company, got the prices. Once we got all the prices back, then Kristen went ahead and wrote the grant requesting $5,000 to fund the rehabilitation of the community park. We received the grant, and the planning and organizing commenced. This is where our student leaders get a real education that you can't always teach here in the classroom, organizing a real job site. We reached out to a couple past retired CTE teachers, the one still a school board member here at the high school, and they volunteered to help out at the park so that we had some other adult supervision and stuff. The kids had to make sure that we had all the necessary tools loaded in a trailer, proper amount of materials. You know, they take for granted when we're here at the school, we always have materials. They just magically appear for the kids to work with. Tools are always in the cabinet. When you're off site, you have to make provisions for all that stuff to be there and be on time. You know, dealing with the lumber yard for delivery, dealing with the school district, proposing the idea to them and getting the board to approve the event, getting parent permissions, transportation of the students. How are we going to feed the students? They took charge and organized all that. While we were there on the day to make it happen, the kids organized 3 different teams because we had 3 different individual projects going on that needed completed, and they did a great job with that. We had approximately 20 students in total involved in the project. And I got to say, as a teacher, it was very enjoyable watching student leaders develop during that project and take on the managing roles. Construction, I would say, if nothing else, is an exercise in communication. Each team member having a role that may change as problems arise with weathers, materials, labor changes. The ability to continually contribute by actively adding value is a skill that must be experienced. So many people benefited from the project. The field that we worked on is not only used by the community for public recreation, but it's also a home field to our neighboring Catholic school. The coach of the Catholic school came over and personally thanked our students for the improvements. He was extremely grateful. Fields adjacent to the park that we were at are used by the Williamsport Area Little League. Anyone who regularly attends the park, games, or lives near the park benefits from the project. Our school program and students got positive recognition, showcasing to the public what we're learning here in our classroom and in our shop. And then some of our students live near the park. And so it's cool because they're going to have a daily reminder and forever remember making improvements to that dugout and to their little hometown field, and hopefully with a little bit of pride. So where are we in the project? So far, I'd say we're probably about 90% done. The students rebuilt the dugout that had the fire damage. They rebuilt the roof. They shingled the roof. They replaced the T111 on the upper part around the roof area. On the other dugout, we reshingled it and replaced the T111 to match the one that we had to rebuild. Students replaced or patched the hole in the bathhouse where there was a storm there. Tree limb came down and punched a hole in the roof. And so the kids patched that hole. The only thing that we haven't gotten to is the concrete work that we have in the proposal. Our plan was to do that this fall, but time and cold weather kind of got the best of us this year. We had some colder weather here in the Northeast early. Because of the cold weather and the time it takes concrete to cure, we decided it best to put off until the spring so we can guarantee a quality job and the concrete has time to dry and stuff. So Again, guys, I just got to say thank you to Harbor Freight for the opportunity for these community projects. Without you, it would not have been possible. For anyone that's willing, that's here at the webinar, I would recommend taking advantage of this opportunity. I'm not going to lie, it's a little bit of extra work outside your normal day, but the benefits are well worth the effort. So thanks for listening. If you have any questions, please let me know.
Hey, my name is Brian Copes. I tell you, it is such an honor to be here with you and be asked to actually share my student story with you. When we start looking at education, we do a great job. We've done it for years. We've taught the core subject areas. We taught the math, the science, the English classes. You know, we tell the kids that they can change the world, but rarely do we ever teach the kids or have a class where we teach the kids how to change the world. So what I do in my career tech class is I teach the kids how to use their math, their English, their science. They use these core classes, and I show them how to use those and kind of mold them together to change the world. I've got projects I'm wanting to discuss with you today about prosthetics. Now, this prosthetic project started about 12 years ago. And really what we did is the state of Alabama came into me and said, hey, Brian, you know, you're doing a great job teaching engineering, but we want you to add a biomedical component to it. And I'm like, I'm a carpenter. You know, I've got a storied background. I mean, there's nothing real special about me. And I'm like, I don't even know what biomedical engineering meant. So I started going out there and we did a little research. Okay, we found out that 80% of all amputees live in developing countries. My students like, that's almost all of them. I said, wow. So I challenged them to go out into the to the lab and invent or create an inexpensive prosthetic leg. Now, this project has garnered some attention from some very influential people. We've got Dr. Albert Allen. He's Lord of Crofton. He's also the Duke of Terrain. We got Paul Tuttle Jr. with American Chopper TV series. Guys, this guy has been with me for probably 8 years. He makes some of the parts for us at no charge. And then we're also talking to the former Miss Columbia, Daniela Alvarez, who wants to be a spokesperson for us. And then Harbor Freight, oh my goodness, guys. Harbor Freight Tools for Schools has been the catalyst that really has launched this program to the next level. But like I told you guys, we have 80% of all amputees live in developing countries. Now, guys, this has been a statistic. Now, I've taken students to these countries, and we've actually seen, you know, typically we'll see 1, maybe 6 amputees at a venue. I was just in Guatemala this past weekend. We showed up to a church. Now, church is a community, the community center. But we showed up there, and there was 50 amputees waiting on us, and I was overwhelmed. We had 11 legs with us on the trip. And it's really showing me that these studies, these statistics are actually true. You know, people in developing countries are looking to make $5 a day, okay? In Guatemala, I met some construction workers. They were doing some mason work. And I was talking to them, and they said that they make $10 a day there in Guatemala. It's a little higher, better cost of living, or a kind of it's a wealthier country, there we go, than places like Honduras. Modern prosthetics cost typically $30,000 to $60,000. You might be able to find them for about $20,000. But what I'm wanting to point out to you guys is modern prosthetics are $20,000 to typically $60,000. Okay, the leg that we have created is $300 to $400. Now, once we put a socket on there, we're approaching the $800 mark. But we're making an affordable or inexpensive prosthetic leg that can be given to people in developing countries. Now, our leg, you know, it started out 12 years ago. We used the knee and ankle joint. It was made out of Toyota Corolla motor mount, a 1989 Toyota Corolla motor mount. Now, the leg bone was made out of steel pipe. I mean, everything that was on this was actually found on another project my students were working on. This was an off-road utility vehicle. But the kids actually created this. And it garnered the attention from the Lieutenant Governor, Kay Ivey, which is our current governor. And she actually made all 40 of my students honorary lieutenant governors for developing that leg. Now, we've got when we start talking about the amputees in developing countries, okay, we mentioned that 80% live in developing countries. We talked about how they're lucky to make $5 a day. Now, these are able-bodied working people. Now, amputees are kind of a different class of people. They're not able to work, okay? Matter of fact, their hands are tied to crutches, so they can't use their hands to work. All right, so they become beggars. They become shadows in their community, and suicide rate goes up because they feel that they can no longer provide for their family. So it became very apparent that my students who said, hey, we got to make a difference. So, we know that, first of all, there is no prosthetist, there is no artificial limb specialist in these countries. So we had to develop a one size fits most. This can be an adjustable leg that can grow with we put it on the child and it's going to have to grow with the child, right? But we want to make it adjustable to where it can be put on a multitude of people. We got some photos here of my students in action. My students have now been to Honduras. They've been to El Salvador and Guatemala. Our legs have also been fit on people in Mexico and Costa Rica. So we've been to about 5 countries. We actually just got back from Guatemala. We're leaving in December for El Salvador. And then we've got about 4 or 5 trips on our docket for next semester. In October of 2021, in Mexico City, one of our legs was fit on this gentleman in El Salvador. Now, this gentleman, he lost his leg in a factory accident. The sad thing about it is they don't have workers' rights like we have here in the United States. So, once he lost his leg, he also lost his job because he could no longer work. Now, once you see this beautiful family, he's standing here with the leg. We've got a short little video of him actually taking his first steps on this leg. About 2 weeks after he was fit with the leg, we see him here in this picture. This is the same man. You can't even tell he's wearing a prosthetic. He's standing there with confidence. He's got a fulfilled life of normalcy now. He's able to go back to work. He can provide for his family. And to his outside appearance, guys, you wouldn't even know that he's an amputee. This is Natalie. Natalie was a very special girl. If you look at her real close, you notice that she's missing both a left arm and left leg. She was actually in a minivan that rolled over and caused her to lose this arm and leg. Now, this girl, she came into the church and she was hopping because she couldn't walk. She can't use crutches, guys. She can't. I mean, she had a very difficult go at this. We were asking her story and she just broke down. She's never told her story publicly, but after talking to her dad, we come to the realization, or we found out that 4 weeks after she lost her arm and leg, her mother could not deal with the situation, and her mother abandoned Dad, Natalie, and her sibling. So she walked out on him. But when we got there, we saw this young girl, and we couldn't fit her, guys. Our leg was too long. We made our legs for adults. We didn't make them for 11-year-old girls. So my kids said, hey, if we can find a hacksaw, we can make this leg work. And all of a sudden, a hacksaw appeared within about 30 seconds. I don't know where it came from. But the kids were able to do some on-site critical thinking, problem solving. They were able to cut the leg down and make it fit Natalie. We're excited. We're going back here in December. We're going to see Natalie. We're going to take a process with us because we're going to have an arm made for this young girl. And we're also going to check her leg and see if we have to do any adjustments to it. But Natalie has become very dear to us. This is a student-led project. I mean, this is a high school student project. I mean, I have never seen a high school project have this much of an impact on lives around the world. And I tell you, I am just excited. I'm honored. I'm privileged just to be a part of it. Somebody asked me, well, why do you do this? Why do you do this? Wow. Okay. How could you not do it? My students working on these projects, they're learning all kinds of skills. Through this, they've actually been recognized by the President of the United States office. They have received the Presidential Volunteer Service Award. Here's 4 of my students a couple years ago that they just received the medal. There was a big celebration last year. They also received the medal last year. and that'll be going on again. But just imagine, guys, a young person on their resume, by the time they graduate high school, they can say, hey, you know, when I was in high school, I was president of Life Changer Manufacturing. I was mentored by the Lord of Crofton on developing a inexpensive prosthetic leg that could be fit on amputees in developing countries. You know, I went on, I was a humanitarian. I went on and I fit X amount number of amputees with prosthetic legs. Um, you know, when we start talking about, you know, what is our role as educators? Our role is to build kids, to prepare kids for the day after graduation, which is our school motto, our school philosophy, if you will, our school mission, you know, to prepare the kids for the day after graduation. Well, it takes more than just hard skills. You know, we got to develop all these soft skills in them. We got to develop not only soft skills, but hard skills. And that's what I'm doing with this particular project. And, you know, it's just to me a tremendous pleasure, privilege to be here and just be able to share the story with you guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. I hope you all enjoyed seeing these videos and the stories of what Jay, Brian, and Randy have created in their classrooms and beyond. You know, we here at Harbor Freight Tools for Schools honestly believe what Brian was saying, that skilled trades education can change the world. And in particular, the young people who, you know, are looking for deep engagement in their education. And I think while all three of these teachers, you know, have come from different fields, automotive and construction, and, you know, the combination of areas that Brian teaches with his students, there were common themes that really cut across the work that you guys do in terms of engaging students deeply, engaging them as leaders, building partnerships with organizations outside the school building. And, you know, as we kind of titled this webinar, you know, part of it is better together. We need to kind of get outside our classrooms and see what the possibilities are. So you guys have been an inspiration to us. And that's why we want to see what others could create along with their students. And I just wanted to have the three of you share a little bit with the group that's with us tonight. Let's start with, you know, just any tips you would have for teachers that are considering a kind of student-led community impact project. What would you suggest for the teachers out there to help them get started? Randy, why don't we start with you?
So it's hard giving tips. You know, I suspect the teachers that are all involved here are phenomenal teachers. There's so many great teachers out there, and I'm just humbled by the fact that I'm even on here. You know, when I think of what made our project, I think, successful, I would have to give a shout out to our kids. You know, I introduced the idea, what the purpose of the project was, and our kids are leaders. Everybody has those leaders in their classrooms. And it's just an opportunity to let the kids run with it. You're helping, you know, communicating with the kids, making sure that they have what they need, you know, answer any questions they have, but, you know, just in guiding the kids, just let the kids run with it. You know, we reached out to the mayor and he gave us some ideas. I think it's just, you know, when we're off campus, you know, I would say try to reduce that teacher to student ratio, so you have some other experts there to help out, especially if you have different projects going. Like we had 3 separate ones going at the same time, so I wanted some additional help so that we had an adult and a professional there with those kids at each stage project. But yeah, I think I don't have a ton. You know, I'm happy to answer any questions that anybody would have, but, you know, as far as tips, just let the kids do it. We have the kids. So
That's great. Thanks, Randy. Jay, Brian?
I think for me, finding something that fits, our interests, the things that we already do. Obviously, we want to use the skill sets that match, the things that we're doing in the classroom. I've done a lot of different projects, restorations and big car things that have blown up into huge projects over the years. And one of the things that I've learned, beyond time management is how does this fit into, our day and my personal life. All of us are busy and have 10,000 different things to do. So being able to compartmentalize a little bit when you take on a project like this, where where are you going to get that done? Is that going to be an after school thing? Is that a during school thing? Is it all the above? Like Randy going off site, if the school, follow up with your school district, find if, my principal will let me go anywhere, anytime. So if we were going somewhere to do something off site like Randy did, we could do that. They would green light that. But make sure you understand for you where it's going to fit into the context of your day and your program. And just make certain that that's something that you can do, because you don't want to, we all do extra stuff and you don't want to pile on. You want this to be something that's awesome for you and your students. So for us, a lot of what we did, was something that we did within the day, not too far out of our normal bounds, but still something that was really impactful for others. So cool.
Well, the advice that I'd give you is you don't have to be the expert. So often teachers think that they have to be the expert, and they're just we're unwilling to venture out and try new stuff. I say be a learner. Go on the learning journey with your students. Don't be afraid to learn new things, do new things, experiment. Failure is a learning exercise, and I failed a lot. I was just in a meeting with the former governor of Florida here, Jeb Bush, and he basically said, go big or go home. This is our kids that we're talking about in their future. Our kids have got, they've got more than what we credit them for. And a lot of times, challenge them to solve some real world problems. I don't know the answer. I don't know anything about prosthetics, but by putting out the challenge, kids are able to go out in the shop and they made it out of motor mounts of all things, right? That's where it started. Now today we're 3D printing the prosthetics, so it just evolved. And you don't have to be the expert day one. Learn with your kids. Don't be afraid to do that.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Thank you, guys. We want to help make public education and the skilled trades inspiring for young people to choose these pathways. And part of our role, I think, Brian, you used the word catalyst, is just to tell these stories. In operating the Prize for Teaching Excellence, we hear so much of the amazing work that many of you are doing, and we're trying to figure out ways to amplify the amazing curriculum and projects and impact that you're all having. So I think this has been terrific to kind of share these stories, because this is truly education at its best. And then lastly is just a quick plug. We're doing 4 of these national webinars in this school year. We started out a couple of months ago talking about geometry and construction. And then another tactic and strategy that we've come across that is incredibly powerful has been the opportunity for teachers and students to work in a mobile lab setting. So we have a couple of our prize winners that have executed this at a very high degree. If they don't have the facilities or resources, these mobile labs, we think, are potentially a strategy that can be utilized in the future to reach more students. So one of our prize winners from 2018, Adam Bourne, is going to join us with a couple other colleagues to share his experience operating these mobile learning labs. So with that, we always try to end early. So I'm glad we're on time. I just want to give a huge thank you to Jay and to Brian and to Randy for doing the work that they do every day and making such a difference. It was a pleasure to bring their story to all of you. Thanks again, and have a great night.